Hello and welcome to another episode of Co-op Plus One, your virtual couch in the Podverse. I'm your host and player one this week, Matt Zeller, and with me, I have the A to Z gaming hombre, the Squirtle with a assault rifle, Sean Martin. How's it going?
I'm doing good. Whoa. You know what? I definitely want to be that when I grow up. You know, everybody else out there, they want to be, I don't know, a streamer, YouTuber, a lawyer. God forbid, be a lawyer. But I want to be a Squirtle with a machine gun. A submachine gun?
Whatever you want it to be.
A Squirtle with a gun blade.
Gunblade.
Final Fantasy VIII. Yeah,
very
Final
nice.
Fantasy VIII. Yeah.
And of course, our player three, the lover of the PlayStation, the Charmander with a mace. I don't know. CJ, how's it going?
Ooh, I like that. And yeah, I am PlayStation's mistress.
Oh boy.
Doing good.
Good.
Who's PlayStation's wife?
Mr.
That's a
Station.
good question, actually. She should watch out, huh?
It's not Jim Ryan.
Well, thank you guys for joining me yet again. We got some fun stuff to talk about. First, we're going to go through the Xbox Developer Showcase. I don't know what's wrong with my tongue today. We're going to talk about a new device that's letting people download Switch games. That's a little scary. And this thing that's been floating around called Palworld that people say may be a Pokemon ripoff. We'll see. But as we always do, let's start with just talking about what we've been playing, watching, enjoying, the catch-up session. So, CJ, what have you been playing, watching, or enjoying?
Oh, yeah. This week/weekend has been actually just extremely fun. Been playing a lot of Exoprimal.
Ooh, what's that?
That game I feel like people were making fun of about like 6 months ago. It's pretty much this game that Capcom made where you fight waves of dinosaurs and complete objectives on a team of 5. And the whole gimmick or the whole thing behind the game is you have to complete these objectives faster than the opposing team. And every time you complete an objective, you can actually see the team completing the same thing in their world, so you can kind of see if you're ahead of them or not. Yeah, super fun. You pretty much are in like this combat suit, like kind of like a mech. I'm obsessed with mechs these days, I guess. It's actually really weird. And
You're over flesh. Like, you want metal, man.
Yes, I want metal around my body. And what's really cool about it is, so you have your 3 different classes, kind of like Overwatch. You have your assault class, you have your support, and you have your tank. And multiple characters for each of those classes. And the beautiful thing about it is they all play differently, like completely differently. You have a sniper, like I said, very similar to Overwatch's like hero, like shooter kind of thing. But it's more of a PvE experience. So you're just fighting hundreds of dinosaurs, and even sometimes up to 2,000 dinosaurs. And it's kind of like you don't believe it till you really experience it, but when there's 1,000 dinosaurs falling from the sky and you're just like fighting off the horde and sometimes getting overrun by them, it's a beautiful thing. And when your tank pops a shield and they're just like all climbing up on the shield, like it's crazy fun. Like I'm really having fun and I can't stop playing it. And there is a story. So first thing that I want to commend Capcom for is their integration of something that we've seen before in a way, but with something completely new. Like it's you could say it's live service, but the only thing you can buy is cosmetics. That's it. And the cool thing about it is as you play the multiplayer matches, like the story kind of unfolds, and then the types of multiplayer matches that you get kind of rank up. And you're just doing this with a community of people, and then you're even doing some like bigger like story-based like raids with the story with people. And then if those people aren't there, then there's bots. But I've only gotten bots 2 times out of 56 matches.
That's pretty good.
So It's excellent. Yeah, the game's not dead. People are still playing it because I think the barrier to entry is like you're doing the same type of mission probably for the first like 25 missions as you're getting bearings. But the idea is you can't level up a character all the way unless you do that kind of that grind, and then you can test out other characters while you're doing that. So you can kind of get a feel for the game. You can go to the training ground and like test yourself out against like dinos and other PvP elements. And then there's lots of different game modes that present themselves as you play through the story. There's this really cool one where you have one of the teammates grabs a hammer, and then the objective is to have your teammates kill as many dinosaurs as possible. The dinosaur deaths charge up the hammer, and then you have to use that hammer to then like destroy this pillar. And it's like which team can do it faster. And then there's also PvP happening at the same time. So like, you know, you can like say, oh, I'm going to divert my focus on the dinosaurs, take out a couple of, the opposing team. And if they, kill you, then now you just wasted your time there. You also have your supers, your specials, just like Overwatch. So the game is super fun. I don't have anything negative to say about it because the story is actually really good. There's like at least 2 huge twists, and I think there's another twist that's coming, and I could not have predicted it. From all the reviews that I read or like that I watched, they made it sound like, oh, it's just you're fighting against an AI and the AI is trying to kill you. Haha. AI is kind of clever. But that's pretty much the story. Very bare bones. It's like, I just feel like those people didn't actually play the story because that's not what's going on here.
I mean, yeah, there's dinosaurs falling from the sky, and they're like, pretty typical. Like
we've seen it before. Like,
raining dinosaurs. Why don't you try raining monkeys? Jeez, make it interesting.
When you said like 2,000 dinosaurs, right? 2,000? All I could think of was Samuel L. Jackson just like hanging out by that computer. Hold on to your butts.
Cigarettes hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah, buddy. I love that. I love that scene.
Dude,
okay, so
crazy.
it is PvPvE, right?
Yes. PvPvE. PvPvE.
I want some clarity on that. Like, is it your team versus dinosaurs and their team versus dinosaurs, like in a parallel universe, or are you both fighting the same dinosaurs separately?
You nailed it.
Which one?
Okay, that's exactly. So it's you guys are fighting your own separate group of dinosaurs in a parallel universe, and then you're trying to complete each of your like culling tasks faster than the other team. Okay, and then there's an element where whoever is like, whichever team is the slowest, they get a dominant. So that's like a T-Rex or like a Triceratops, and then they can actually invade your team and try to slow you down if you're ahead. But then you also get that dominant. But if you're like already on a roll, you might not need to use it, but you can use it just to mess with the other team if they were like unsuccessful. And then for like the raid like situations, it'll take both teams of 5. So now you have 10 players fighting against like a boss and a horde. So like also like, it'll bring the 2 teams together in certain like scenarios. And then some modes there is no PvP. So some is just completing the tasks faster than the other team with the opportunity to raid them with like a big dinosaur. And then other scenarios, literally there is a PvP moment where you can slow them down by just like attacking them. Like they come into, like you guys join the same like universe.
And then like, is it all carnivores or is there like herbivores? Like, is there like those weird duck dinosaurs like dropping in and just munching on bushes or something?
There are herbivores too.
What do? Do you just avoid them? Do you get less points if you kill them?
They're still trying to attack you. Let's be honest. Like, so the Triceratops is an herbivore, but it's got the horns, right? Like it's still whipping you with that
but
tail.
What about like the duck one, the one with the long rubbery neck or whatever,
So the really small ones, what they'll do is they'll try to latch onto you, and then they bind all of your abilities.
Oh, I see.
So you need your teammates to like, help you out. Like
get like a little fly swatter or something.
Want to say it again?
Get like a fly swatter or something and bat those little guys off.
Sure. Help me. And then like, the character that I've been using the most, it's like this, his name is Barrage, or their name is Barrage. It's just a suit. It's not a gender. And, he has this they have this flamethrower and it just feels so satisfying. Cause like when the flamethrower is like about to run out of ammo, it makes this like this whistling sound. And it's just so satisfying. Like the sound quality in this game is so good. Like when you reload, like you throw the can down, you hear the can hit the ground. It's just like, and then there's last thing, there's modules and there are, so it's modules and like, it's like a perk that you can add to your character and you have to like buy these perks with currency you get. And one of the perks I really like is when you dodge, you reload. So
Nice.
there's a situation where the Barrage character, when he runs out of like, the flame juice, the fuel, he does a dodge where he actually like shoots the ground and then plumes fire from him. So he dodges while also attacking. So you do that, it pushes the dinosaurs away, and then you have a full tank of fuel ready to go again. So it creates this really satisfying like loop. So yeah, like I'm about 93% done with the story. So last night, like there was some like crazy twists that were coming my way. So I'm like, so it was 2:00 in the morning, so I had to go to bed. But like I could feel like I'm ready to push forward. Like I want to continue playing. So yeah, this game kind of stripped me away from my Final Fantasy VII Remake playthrough because I played it like before, so it's not like Final Fantasy VII is new to me. So I was like, oh, well, this is new. Exoprimal's on sale for like $30 right now, so it's like definitely worth $30. And I think I've got like 20 hours in so far. And then I heard the end game is good. They're doing like a Monster Hunter collaboration. And then in April, they're going to be adding a whole new 10-player PvE mode called like Time Warp or something. So yeah,
That's cool. So they're keeping the lifeblood happening. I mean, this game's got Capcom blood in it, and Capcom's been kind of on fire. This was kind of a weird one. Like, I know when I saw like previews for this, I was like, I don't know. I do like dinosaurs. I'm not gonna lie. I like my dinosaurs. But like, I just didn't have the drive to go and play it, even though it was on Game Pass. Like, I was like, I don't know. I might just wait on this one and just see if like, the community's getting hot on it. But the fact that you're playing it and you're really enjoying it and you're giving a better impression than I was given the impression of from other people playing it. Like, I didn't know it was PvPvE. So, and the fact that it kind of has an Overwatch flow to it with like the different categories and then the different classes within the categories is actually pretty appealing to me. So I downloaded it. So we got to play this. We got to jump on it. And it's cross.
let's definitely play just one round.
I have it
I'll
too.
play.
We can all
I'll
play.
play.
Yes, it's cross-platform.
I'll play for hours. You got hours. If I've got hours, we all got hours. But it's crossplay between PC, PlayStation 5, and the Series X. So might be picking this one up on PC. Just mouse clicking at your heads, or I guess at dinosaur heads, Petrie's and Sarah's,
Dude, they have
No.
weak spots.
Littlefoots.
No. Spike. No, Spike.
Do the dinosaurs sing? Do they
They do
sing?
not
Oh,
sing.
man.
Are you thinking about what is that? Spaceballs?
No,
No,
Land Before Time.
Yeah. Littlefoot, Petrie.
And that was an alien that popped out of that person, not a dinosaur.
What's the one that eats all the time? You know what I'm talking
Spike.
about? The little guy. Oh, Spike.
Oh, it is Spike. Oh, he made those leaves look so good.
Dude, that was
Yeah.
so funny. I actually watched it recently, and like whenever Ducky's like he's like in an egg and he's like, "Wake up, you're late, and he's like all sleepy, and it's just so funny to be like he's late for life. It's just like hilarious. I just thought that was so funny. I don't know.
I forgot about Ducky.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, dude, this sounds dope. I gotta try this.
I think you guys would have a lot of fun. It's like I said in a text message, I was like, it feels like you're at like an arcade and that's like the fanciest game there. And it's just like ridiculous fun and you don't want to stop, but you're like parents saying, hey, we gotta go. It's like, just one more. Like that's how fun this is. It's ridiculous fun.
That's what I like to hear. Have you been playing anything else?
Yeah, I did still play a little bit of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I played some Daemon X Machina. Um, and yeah, I got slapped a few times actually, so I had to restructure. So that exists. The game is not just a cakewalk, so I was pretty pleased for that.
In Daemon X.
Yeah, Daemon X Machina.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like honestly for the Switch, and I know that PC it runs better, but it's like a great Armored Core alternative. Just really
runs
cool.
at 60 FPS on that one, right?
30 FPS on Switch.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe I'm thinking of another game. Whatever. It's a Switch.
Yeah, it's 200 FPS on PC. It's I think maybe you were thinking Prince of Persia. That's 60 FPS right now,
That's the one I'm thinking of.
which is very impressive. And then just watching Scandal, more of that. Almost done. I think season 6. And yeah, it's getting really juicy. Olivia Pope now, I don't like her at all.
Nope.
So she, yeah, but like, there's no way you could guess why I don't. So she's just a turkey sandwich.
She really is, man. So how many seasons? There's 7, right? Or is there?
Yes.
Okay, I think when I was watching it, this was like when it was still airing, and then coming through streaming services like a year later. I think there was 5 seasons that are going on 6 at that point. I don't know how old of a show this is, but still, yeah, it kept me enthralled the whole way through. Just so many shenanigans between the president and Olivia Pope. That's all I gotta say. But I like that vice president, even though he's an interesting guy as well. It's like the Dick Cheney of that world, I guess.
Yeah.
In a way.
Dude, the show is crazy. It's so entertaining though, and I think right now, yeah, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but for the time that it was made, it was literally like, interestingly, like either predicting or it was exactly the political landscape of that time. So I don't know how they wrote it. Like it seemed, because I even looked up some stuff. I was like, okay, that's interesting. That reminded me of that time, and I looked it up, and I was like, wait, this came out during that same year of that happening. So like, are they just writing the present, or what's going on here?
They're like the Simpsons, you know?
How they
Just
always like
predicting
predict the future.
Yeah,
Dude, that's trip.
I guess.
Well, Sean, what have you been enjoying?
Well, you mentioned Palworld at the top. Got to play a little bit of that on PC. We'll talk about that. But mainly, I have been playing Final Fantasy Crisis Core. So this is the spin-off of, I guess, it's essentially taking place before everything that happens in Final Fantasy VII, from what I'm gathering so far. I think I'm like about 10 hours in. And I have one real quick question because I didn't get the chance to look it up before we started, recording for this pod. But is this a remake?
No, it's just a remaster.
Okay. Oh, a remaster.
Yeah,
From a
how old
PSP
is this
game,
game?
right?
it's a PSP game. Yes.
Okay. Okay, this is making so much more sense now because now I'm going to talk about the game a little bit.
You're like, what is this hot garbage? Oh, it's PSP. That makes sense.
Look, this game is very okay. It is extremely okay. I'm not enjoying it. There's just so many little things where I'm like, what is happening here? What is going on?
Especially you coming hot off of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. Like you go from Final, and that's the thing too, because my wife, she played this, and I got it for her, and so she wanted to play this as well before Rebirth comes out this next month, and she was like, "Did Final Fantasy VII Remake look this bad?" And I was like, "What? Oh yeah, I think this was like the B team, like I think this was like Square Enix's B team that worked on this, So I told her, I was like, give it a chance. It's just an offshoot kind of game, right? But yeah, I started playing it because I wanted to get my own take on it. And like I said, I'm enjoying parts of it. I can see like this DNA of like how they led up to Final Fantasy VII's combat currently. But instead of like pausing to do magic, you hold down, the shoulder button, and then you execute, like it has like basically a quick command, in which you can also do in 7 remakes. So like circle would be whatever you assign to it, say the fire spell. Triangle is your, thunder spell and such. The weird part about it is like, I didn't expect like, you'll be running around in like an empty space. And the next thing you know, you'll a bunch of enemies will pop out of nowhere and you'll be in a battle. So it's like instead of doing the quick cutscene to then go into the RPG battle, it just kind of goes combat initiated, and then you're there, and they're all surrounding you, or they're placed in random different spots and whatnot. I think I think the weird part that happens to me a lot is like where the enemies are placed in conjunction with myself. It does give you like like a pause second before you start a battle, but then sometimes you'll have like 5 enemies that are on top of you, and they're all just slapping you left and right, and you're like, I couldn't do anything about this.
Yeah.
Because like the combat feels a little limited. Like I don't know if maybe it's just the way that the enemies being placed where they're placed, or their AI is just paced differently than like 7 Remake. But for some reason, I feel like I'm getting slapped in a bunch of different directions without any chance to like have a moment to breathe at first. And then like you kind of do a couple rolls to get out of the situation, hold down the block button, try to isolate one at a time. But it just felt weird. But now again, this is an older game. I didn't know this was like an older game, so this is making more sense.
Yeah.
So combat's one thing. I'm definitely a spellcaster in this one for sure. The spells are like OP in this game for me at least. I don't know if it's just my build or whatnot. Did you find the same thing, CJ, or were you kind of hacking and slashing a lot?
I was honestly doing both because you need the spells to deal with certain enemies that like have weaknesses, because you really need to play into the weaknesses of certain enemies. And then that side quest, like the side mission things, I did every single one I could do. Because like otherwise the later game's going to be so difficult if you're not strong enough, or if you don't have strong enough spells. So, because you're right. The combat is not so polished that you can be good without having like, good equipment or a high level. Like you need to just be stronger.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, I'm getting through it. I think the only times I really die is like, essentially when you get into like a summon battle, or like what looks to be like a big boss battle. Cause I've been doing all the missions as much as I can get to, like, cause I realize that there's certain missions that you basically can grab. Like essentially like the missions are accessed from each save point, right? So I can describe it to people out there that have never played it. But yeah, the missions are accessed from each save point, and essentially you've got like a long list of like side missions that you can do. And they all have like kind of a star rating attached to them. And each like set of like side missions kind of has like a different reward that you can get, like, before you go into it, you can know like what rewards you're going to grab. And some of them have like a side quest with like a cheeky character like Yuffie. She makes an appearance in this game as a kid, which I thought was kind of cool. And then then you get dropped into a world, and then like you kind of just go down like this kind of like you're in like a separate map space, and then there's like random encounters with monsters, but you have to get to the end, and then there's like hidden chests that you can find on the way. But yeah, I've been doing all those, and like I've equipped myself. I've got like the keychain thing that has like, allows you to equip 3 items on top of what you're equipping. And then like, I'm trying to like I've leveled up all my materia, because you have to, in order to level up your materia, you have to equip it and then use it and then battle with it, and then it levels it up to different ratings. Then there's the materia fusion, which I haven't played around with too much, and I need to play around with, I think, more.
It's actually very useful.
Yeah, I kind of gathered that, because like I could tell some of my magic spells probably aren't doing as much as they should be. But yeah, at any rate, I think like the other thing that's weird to me is like this. So in the battle system, there's like a slot system. It's like the DMV system. I think I'm saying that right, DMV. And essentially what happens is like in the top left-hand corner of your screen, there'll be a bunch of like pictures and numbers that are scrolling down, like a slot machine. And then essentially it'll randomly set itself on like a combination. And based on that combination, you'll get like, no cost for your mana. So you can just shoot out spells without any cost against it. Or like you can do special attacks because you'll get like an AP one. Or sometimes you'll get a summon. It'll be a picture of all the summons, and then you can do like a quick command, and then you'll summon a summoner to do like major damage and stuff. It just it's cool. Like I like it because you can use it like strategically in a sense, but it feels so random, and like I had no control, that I just felt like,
it can kind of feel a little cheap. Kind of like, but it's you're kind of thinking like, well, what's the direction of my experiences? Am I supposed to be earning everything?
Yes.
Or
Which I have noticed that getting more of those people, like, so you can do the side missions and then gain a new character that scrolls down through that slot machine, and then therefore you get like a new summon or a booster. So it has been advantageous in a way, but it just feels like it's out of my control, and I wish it was maybe more of like, you know, a menu system like what was in 7 Remake. But, you know, again, they were trying something new, so it makes sense. I'll go quick on this last part, but it is like, what is going on with this game? This is the moment where I'm like, come on, y'all. The voice acting and the cutscenes are just so bad. They're so bad. And I gotta wonder too, like, did they clip out like different voices? I guess what I gotta say is essentially it feels like this was an AI made game for the dialogue sometimes. Like, there's some cutscenes that you're like, okay, something cool is happening here. They have like fully fledged animations, like, or FMV videos, and the you know, dialogue's pretty cheeky and pretty good. It's a little cheesy, but it's Final Fantasy, whatever. But then you get to those like other cutscenes where they didn't put it in like a separate cutscene, and the players' mouths are like flapping at different rates than what's being said. So I'm like, did they just translate the Japanese version of this gameplay and put it in? And then the voices are so funny to me. Like, I love it because it's like when they say a person's name, it'll change the tone entirely. Like, it'll be like, "Hey, Zach, tell me what's in the box," you know?
What's in the box?
I really wish I would have like recorded some gameplay or wrote down some notes on some of the dialogue, because I feel like sometimes it feels like it's written by a 3-year-old. It's so bad, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Because again, you go to like the more fully fledged out cutscenes, and then it's actually pretty good. And I do like the story that's being played out with Angeal and Sephiroth and Genesis, and how Zack ties into that. You get some backstory with Aerith and Zack and their relationship. So I just want it to be good, but then there's these moments that take me out, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? But now I fully forgive this game, and I'm still going to play it. I want to finish it out to the end, because it's not like a horrible game. It's just, it feels older. It just feels different. But now that I know that it's a PSP port, okay, we're good.
Yeah,
and
it really is all those things. It is older.
The graphics are good at times, and then the graphics are weird at times. Too. And then the FMV videos, for some reason, they play out very choppy. So it's like, I don't know if they just didn't polish out that port, or they just took it straight and tried to up-res it, or they haven't cleaned it back up. But it plays sort of blurry, which is kind of weird. But I mean, ultimately, you know, it's fine. I'm playing it. I'm enjoying it.
It's like a fun game with the story that you're looking for.
Yeah. It's got some quirks, but, you know, again, most games do. So
yeah.
Very nice. Are you playing anything else or watching anything?
I actually just watched through Green Knight. Have you guys heard about this movie?
I know the Dark Knight. Is it similar?
No, this is like a 8.4 film. Yeah.
This is a VeggieTales story, The Green Knight.
VeggieTales.
Oh yeah. No, this is that would be actually really cool if they did like a parody of this with VeggieTales.
That would be sick.
I think they could do it. No, this is an A24 film. And
Oh,
essentially it's based on like an old tale of Sir Gawain. I can't remember the tale. I think it's just called The Green Knight. And at any rate, the Green Knight, who is a guy who is made out of plants, so you guys got it somewhat right there. He comes in and he's like, "Hey, who's gonna challenge me?" And Sir Gawain, he wants to prove his, you know, because he's a knight. He's an up-and-coming knight, maybe king one day. Okay. So he's like, "I'll do it. I'll challenge you." But the catch is that wherever the Green Knight is struck, a year later on Christmas Day, he must return over to where the Green Knight lives and then be struck in the same manner. And so I'll just leave it at that. Cinematography is awesome. For being like a smaller indie film, awesome cinematography. The dialogue is kind of old-timey English, so it's really like authentic, which is kind of cool. And then the twist at the end, or just like how it plays out in the end, is really confusing because it's an A24 film, but it's like a very out there one. But it's really good. It's really good. So I would definitely say this is like one of those Sundance Film Festival films.
Dude, this
but with,
sounds
like, a
super
really good
cool.
budget.
Where'd you watch
It's
it?
on Amazon Prime, the service they've got there. So
Nice.
I think you could watch it. It's called The Green Knight.
yeah, I don't think if you have a lady
lettuce.
who doesn't want to be confused and just wants to watch something a little easier.
Hey, anyone
you know?
cannot want to be confused.
Yeah, I know. Or if you just have somebody else in the room who just doesn't want to be confused and wants, something a little bit more straightforward. This is not the film. This is definitely like kind of very deep and slow, but it's really good. I enjoyed it. So
Can I watch it while I'm playing something?
No, this is
Sean
this is
always
not
says
one of
no
those
to that.
films.
CJ's like, "Can I ride a roller coaster and play a game?" And Sean's like, "No."
Okay, here's one
No,
thing.
disobey.
Here's here's the caveat to that. CJ, I remember going over to your place and you'd be watching The Office while we'd be playing games and stuff. Perfect. Comedy, like series that maybe I've watched before already. I'm down for that. Just pop in and every now and then. Oh yeah, I remember this episode. I remember those laughs. Like, let's do it. So I enjoy that. But yeah, this is definitely something you want to watch because it's like it's quote unquote art,
And there's like details. Like it's not just about hearing it, it's about seeing it as well.
Yeah, it's
respect
visually very cool. So
I will give it the respect it deserves.
Sounds like some good stuff. As for me, nothing much new, unfortunately. Still playing through Tears of the Kingdom. I got to be approaching 200 hours at this point, and now I started like watching people to see like things they've built, and that was really fun until I accidentally stumbled on some spoiler territory. So now I'm a little salty, but I stopped doing
Serves you
that.
right.
I just wanted to see if they built anything fun, and some guy made a dinosaur that wobbles around and shoots fire out of its mouth, and it looks hilarious.
That's pretty cool.
I really liked it. And then aside from that, playing through Gravity Circuit, so we'll talk about that soon. I dabbled in Palworld as well, so we'll bring that up in a little bit. And then I finished Shrinking, the show, and I definitely recommend Shrinking. There's only one season, but the new one should be coming out soon. It's
Okay,
on
good.
Apple TV Plus.
Okay, good, because like we did that too. We finished it.
It's so
and
good.
I was like, no, I want more, and there wasn't more. And they're like, season 2, eventually. No,
Eventually.
I need more Harrison Ford.
Oh man, have you guys ever watched a show and then found out it got canceled? Like you're like, oh, when's the next season coming out? And you Google it.
Yes.
Dude,
Yes.
the one on Netflix, Mindhunter.
Oh, that was
Why?
the worst. I watched that also. We need a
Yes, bring
petition
that
for
back.
Mindhunter.
Yes.
Dude, they
Oh,
spent
so
the
good.
whole season like preparing the next big villain or the next big bad, if you will. And then it's just like, when's the next season? And it's like, eventually canceled years ago. You're like, no.
Dude, I feared that same thing for Black Mirror, so I was really happy when we got that newest season. And
At
it's
least
good.
they're like one-offs. Like the
Yeah,
episodes aren't like
There's no
compounding.
cliffhangers.
Yeah.
I love Black Mirror. So good.
Good stuff. So yeah, nothing much new for me. But that brings us into the Xbox Developer Direct we had the other day. It was actually pretty good. I mean, for years now we've been like, what is Xbox doing? What are we supposed to be excited for? Why did we buy this Xbox aside from playing indie games on Game Pass? And I thought they delivered. First and biggest thing to me was the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Did you guys see this? What did you guys think? Because
I saw it. I'll let you go first, Sean, because I don't own an Xbox, so
Well, maybe is the time. Maybe. I don't know. I guess we gotta wait to see when it comes out, and then, or you can get a PC, play it there. Do that.
PC is a
We're
little
gonna
more enticing.
PC. Oh man, yeah. This trailer was so good. It's funny too, because like when the first scene popped up, I was kind of watching it on my phone, and I was like, is that how it looks? And then like it, because they had the villain and whatnot, and he was like talking to Indy. I was like, I don't know if I dig like his character model. It's like kind of looking okay. And then they popped over to Indy, and I was like, oh, that looks good. And then they started going, and it just didn't stop. And yeah, I love that it's first person, by the way. I was hoping for this. I like that they're combining the third person element, when it pulls back for like the times when he's climbing, the times when he's swinging, on his little whip rope, and, maybe when he's driving a car, or, taking off his hat. Maybe you do an emote in this game and you get to look at Indy for a little while. I don't know. But yeah, no, I love what they did here. I love where they're going. I have like a lot of confidence in this one. It looked really good. Like I like the fact that the stress wasn't on like gunplay, like guns blazing. It was a lot about that whip and utilizing it for stealth takedowns. For the fact that like where you place that whip and like use it on your enemies is going to change how you're going to interact with that enemy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was dope. And then like, man, when he jumped across that plane wing, I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
let's go.
I was like,
Let's
this is super
freaking
cool.
go.
Yeah, like
Go,
when they
Indy.
originally like brought up like, hey, they're making an Indiana Jones game. Like I was like, okay, like what? I'm sure all of us were like thinking Uncharted is basically an Indiana Jones game, right? But they really seem to like flesh it out and make it their own. Like you said, the first
Yeah.
person, the coolest whip in a video game. I mean, maybe aside from Castlevania, although it's not that cool in Castlevania, it's fine. But this is like whip someone in the face and then you run up and like punch them a bunch and like I don't know, like wear their clothes. It just looked like really, like it's gonna have some fun like combat options. Like it's not as basic as I guess I was imagining it would be. Yeah, it really looks unique. I thought it was going to be like Uncharted, but you're Indiana Jones or something. So I'm pretty excited about it. What do you think, CJ?
I agree. I think it looks unique, and I'm excited to see like more details. Like I would really like to see like what a whole like level looks like to play, and like I kind of want to see more of like what the platforming is going to be like, but just like with the other game I was talking about, I need to drop its title. I think it's nice to see developers doing something different. Because I feel like oftentimes like we, not like us particularly, but gamers, they say like we want something different, and then a developer does that, and then no one supports it. So
It's very true.
yeah, so I think that it's awesome that they're doing this whole third person, first person thing. I think it's great that it doesn't look like another Uncharted clone, doesn't look like a Tomb Raider clone. It looks like it's its own thing, its own identity. And first person stealth is friggin' awesome. Like I love first person stealth. So yeah, I'm very excited for it. Like I want it to be amazing, so I have like that push. Because right now I think all I have is Hi-Fi Rush as a push. So Indiana Jones, like adding that to the list, like it's like please. And then Todd Howard needs this.
Yeah, so he's the producer, and I was actually going to ask you guys, since it's made by Machine Games, have you guys played like Wolfenstein or anything?
No,
Yes.
but I need to. I've been wanting to for so long, and I just haven't done it yet. But I've heard great things, like because they remade them, right, and then put it into its own little like spin-off, right? Like it's its own thing. It's a standalone story.
Yeah, it's
Based off
definitely
the old games.
it's standalone. I think the latest one was like New Blood, and then I think the gameplay was good, but people didn't like the story. But the one that like kind of had like the biggest acclaim was New Order. And I played that one, but I didn't finish it. I don't know why. I feel like I personally didn't like the way the first person shooting felt. It felt like too fast, which is really weird for me to say. But this was before I played like Titanfall. This was like kind of like early on. I feel like maybe I'm getting it mixed up. I don't know which one came out first, but I just remember not liking the feel of it too much. And then I think my pride put the difficulty too high. So if I don't like the feel, then that means I haven't mastered the feel, or I'm not even like good at it yet. So I think maybe the challenge was too high. So I think I got past like the first 3 levels and I put it down, but it was fun. So I think if I picked it up again now, I think I would actually like be very like, oh, this is actually cool. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Very
I think
cool.
the coolest thing about the preview for this too was like the stress on puzzles. Like when they started going deeper after the trailer into like the puzzle aspect, like there's going to be a lot of puzzles that you're going to be doing for the mainline story, for side quests, and then like hidden puzzles that are going to be really hard to find, that like you cannot find unless you just really look for them. And they showed like some preview of what those puzzles like might look like, and I'm intrigued by that because I love me some puzzles.
And they were first person, right?
Yeah,
That's
so it's
cool.
just gonna be interesting.
That's
you know?
different. It's different.
Give me puzzles.
Yeah, it's ticking a lot of boxes for me. I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. Next up, they were showing Avowed, a little more from that. We've been hearing about that over the past year or so, and it supposedly is coming in fall. What do you guys think of Avowed, Sean Boy?
I'm excited for this one too. Now, this definitely got a lot of flack from people out there, and I could kind of understand why. The biggest one is like pretty much just how the AI might have not really been super smart, kind of just standing around, and then like it felt stiff to a lot of people with the combat, and I could see that. And then the look is divisive. I think a lot of people, because this is coming from like the Pillars of Eternity universe, and then we haven't had an Elder Scrolls game in a long time, so I think people were waiting for like this to be the filler. The original trailer was a lot darker, and then last year in the showcase, I believe they showed this off, and it had like a more colorful, zanier, kind of lighter hearted look. And it actually didn't look great, but I guess that was like pre-alpha footage that we were looking at last year. And I was even kind of like, no, like I got to see more of this, because I wasn't like impressed by the way it looked. I did like the way this one, like I like where it's going. Apparently this alpha footage. Another thing I would suggest to people too is like some of the stuff that they showed for this didn't like jive. I don't think like some of the dialogue choices were kind of weird. And then that guy like spouting off about it, he's like, "What do you think I'm some stupid baby or something?" That was kind of funny. I just I thought it was a funny line. But if you go on to, they have an Xbox podcast that's hosted by a couple of people. One of them is Tina Amini from GameScoop.
Oh, I found this actually. It's like the official Xbox podcast from Xbox.
Yeah, and they sat down and did like a deeper dive on some of the combat, some of the gameplay, and then the devs got to talk a little bit further even about like some gameplay mechanics, and then tell you what exactly we kind of saw, and then you actually get to see like more of a full run through of what's going on. So I thought that was a little bit more insightful, versus I feel like this presentation was kind of weird for a lot of people, and I could get it, but I'm excited for it because like it's going to be a short-winded, open-ended single-player linear sort of focused game that's not 300 hours that I don't have to sink my teeth into. Like I can actually get this done in maybe 30-40 hours, and I'm excited for that. It looks pretty. I liked what I saw for the combat. I just, it's going to take a little bit of work, but I think they can get there. It's coming out in the fall. There's plenty of time to just tweak it out. So that's my personal take.
I agree.
It looked pretty good. It looks basically like first-person Skyrim-esque. Everyone's probably saying like you can have a shield, you can have a sword, or you can go like magic hands, or you can do like pistol and a magic hand. I don't know. It just looks like there's a lot of combat options, and you can just kill those lizard dudes however you feel like. Just really rip into them for no reason. What do you think, CJ?
Yeah.
Like I think what I really did like about the presentation was how they showed if you leaned into a certain like combat, style, how it changed the mechanic. So if you wielded just a sword in one hand, then it would change your animations to like swing it a lot faster, and then like kind of like change your moveset a little bit. They showed the person like with the dual wands for the magic. I thought the idea of having wands for magic was cool, versus just having the effect come out of the hands, right? Like, so I thought that was kind of cool, and I like how like the person was like whipping it around, like dancing kind of. So I was like, oh, all right, like that looks pretty fresh. And I feel like the developer is trying to get creative with it. Like I saw the freeze spell. To then like kind of like slow the enemy down, and then like then follow up with a strong attack. I like how they said you can like, I don't know if quick swap was the right word, but you can swap between different play styles quickly, so that's pretty cool. So I feel like they are definitely focusing a lot on making the combat fun. But what I will say is the combat did look a little bit slow. So maybe that's why the AI looked slow, because if the AI was too fast and reactive, then you wouldn't be able to handle it. So I think we need to really, think about that too. It's like, it doesn't mean that it's bad that this AI is slow. It's like your character also is kind of slow. And if there's a scenario where there's multiple enemies, you need to be able to pick them off one at a time. Like, it's not like a hack and slash game. But I'm sure, like you said, it's pre-alpha, so they're working on those things. And I think like their heads in the right direction to make each scenario like a combat puzzle. So yeah, this game looks really cool. I love Obsidian. So I thought that I watched the whole thing, but I didn't see a lot of like dialogue option opportunities. So I hope that they carry over, like, this dialogue situation can impact the story in this way, even the side story in this way. And I hope that there's like, different leveling to your like speech. That way, like, there's those skill checks. It's like, all right, if I can persuade you, then like, because that's what Baldur's Gate exceeds at. And then Outer Worlds also did a really good job with that too. So I'm very confident that their storytelling is going to be on point with this one. And I also agree that like having it more enclosed, not this huge open world, I think that's great. Because as I'm getting older, like I want to be able to digest my meal. So
Yeah, I think with the dialogue, because they only showcased like a couple of scenes with like some characters, and they were like, you're gonna make some really crazy choices, but the choice didn't feel super weighted from what they showed off, So I think instead of maybe showing how it played out, they could have shown like the aftermath of it, like if you'd made one choice or something like that, or how
the land is just scorched. It's like, oh
yeah, something crazy, But yeah, I did see a lot of dialogue options similar or akin to like a Baldur's Gate 3. I think the problem is this game is coming off the coattails of Baldur's Gate 3, so the expectations are gonna be high. But like people out there just need to realize like not every game is going to be a Baldur's Gate 3. Every game has its own sauce.
Maybe in 5 years they will.
Yeah, it was an early access game. Like there's so much time that went into that. So yeah, I agree.
Look good though.
And then Sean, this one is targeted specifically at you. You're the only one I think that played Hellblade. So I wanted to know if what we've seen from Hellblade 2 in this update. Well, one, did you have any issues with the first Hellblade, and if so, did this like help like ease your concerns or not? I don't know.
Increase them.
Increase them.
Before we kind of talked about this a little bit. I just wanted to see more of the dang combat. And they talked about it briefly. They were like, combat's going to be fierce.
It's going to be so cool.
Make you feel like you are getting out of it, just barely making it out alive. And I'm like, cool, let's talk about,
Can we see that?
They like show scenes of it, but they're not actually showing it. And I just want to see the dang combat. Now, I mean, whatever. Game's coming out in May. I doubt we're going to get any more of this game. I think this is probably the last of it. And then we're just going to play it. It sounds like, so yeah, really the combat from the first game just felt a little basic. I wouldn't even mind if this game's combat was basic, but it played out in scenarios where it felt a little bit more like maybe scripted and cinematic, because that's kind of how the game is. It's a scripted cinematic experience that you're playing through and experiencing, and it's not like a God of War. This game wasn't meant to be a God of War. It's going to be compared to it. And people out there are going to say God of War. Oh, it's not God of War. It's like, it's not God of War, y'all. Like Senua is not, she's not a beefed up, gladiator. She's just this small, impy little girl who's got like the wimpiest voice, but she's got some messed up stuff happening. And so I'm excited for the experience. One thing, so more info came out that like this game is going to be a similar length. So around 7-8 hour mark is what the first one was at. So this game's going to be that. It's going to be digital only. And it's going to be $50. So, or you can get it on Game Pass or PC Game Pass. So, I don't know. What did you guys think? Did you guys hear about that at all, or what did you think about that?
I didn't hear about the price. $50 I think is fair, because I heard that the game is like going to be on the short end, like the original one. So, and it's on Game Pass. So I think it's nothing but a win. But it's like this game. Kind of like, I feel like the hype train like was like here last year, and then I feel like it's like kind of now here, kind of like it's not super high anymore. So, but I know the developers are really passionate about this, so I think it's going to end up being a really great piece of gaming art. And I think it might move the genre forward in like cinematic storytelling, and like, graphical detail. So I'm kind of hoping that it's a win for graphical detail and story design. Like that's kind of what I'm hoping it nails. And then the combat, like, yeah, like I would, since it seems like a more like not fighting a hordes of enemies type of thing, then like just add more of like a skill ceiling. So, like opportunities to like, I know it sounds like cliche, but like parrying, because parrying is a really cool thing to do in games, right? Parrying, blocking, dodging, nail it. And then if you can have some grapple stuff, that'd be nice too.
Parrying and grappling are all the rage these days. In 20 years, we're gonna be like, remember when all those games had parrying and grappling?
So like,
I wonder what would be next, right?
I don't know.
I want to kind of, because you guys haven't played it, so it's like I want to kind of describe it this way. Think of how like the original Hellblade played out like God of War's combat, but without the skill trees, and like so it didn't expand further. I mean, granted, you know what I mean? Like, so it just felt like by the end of it, you're like, okay, combat, whatever. You know what I mean? Some of the boss battles were really interesting because then it played out differently from like the normal enemies. But like you kind of had more of a repeat of some enemies. And then again, you're kind of just mashing the same combos together. You know what I mean? Like, so it just didn't feel like that was the focus.
There's no
of the game.
growth, no freedom of
Yeah.
expression, I guess.
No, it just felt very kind of bare bones. The thing, it wasn't bad, but it just wasn't like, whoa, until you got to those boss battles and those situations, then it felt like, okay, this is pretty cool. I like these ideas. So I don't know. They should have just showed the day in combat. Come on, guys.
Yeah. I think that maybe after the first one, everyone was like, okay, like this is a great starting point. I can't wait to see what they do next. And then like in their minds, they're like, our first game was great and we did exactly what we wanted. Let's do it again. And so like, I think that,
Do it again.
yeah, everyone thinks that it's going to be like crazy, think like it's going to grow into this awesome thing from what it was. But I think that this is what they wanted to do. So, I mean, like, it's going to be better, but I don't think it's going to be, like, insanely different and deep and crazy like people want it to be, I guess.
That's why it's still $50, huh?
Well,
They know it's a small
another
experience.
Yeah.
Another thing, too, is, like, this game's been talked about for a long time. I think that's another reason why, like, the excitement goes away. This team is only 120 people. This is a 120-person team. To put that into comparison with like a God of War, that's like a 400 or 500 person team. That's more, plus all the outsourced developers that are helping out with the project. So, I mean, like, it's crazy that they're coming up with this style of game with these sort of visuals, like with that small of a crowd of peeps. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of respect there. But again, we got to wait and see. May 21st, right? So I don't know. I'm excited. My hype levels are really high, but it's only because I just really want to play it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and it's also UE5, so I'm excited to see, what they can do with that engine, since it is the new engine. So like everybody, like I think we had like Remnant 2 was using UE5 as well. So we have games that are using it, but like who's going to be able to optimize it the best? So this is going to be like the newest UE5 game. So let's see like what they can do with it. So that's exciting. Like I'm really excited for this game. Like I'm not going to be able to play it when it comes out, but I'm excited to like see it be successful, because then that's going to be sick. Like I want to see its power.
Very cool. And then the last two things that were announced was Visions of Mana coming out summer 2024 and Ara History Untold fall 2024. Do you guys have anything specific to say about these? I didn't really connect with these as much as the other ones.
I'm most excited for Visions of Mana out of this whole list. Just because. Sorry.
This whole list? What?
That's awesome. I mean, it looked great. This was unexpectedly surprising. I thought it was dope, but like, I'm surprised by that for you.
Yeah. And like, I love these anime games. Like, it kind of has a look to like Ni no Kunai. And I loved that game. And this one, I like, the combat. It's just like kind of cute combat. But I imagine that like, you're going to get lots of spells, and I like the mounts. Like you can like, I think it was like a dragon, or don't know what it was, but
Like a dog thing.
some creature.
Yeah.
And it looked like a lot of fun. The world is pretty like, I don't know, like every now and then, like I'll get into these modes where I don't want to play something dark. I just want to play something colorful and bright with like nice music. And what's really cool about this game is it's just a huge world. And I know nothing about Visions of Mana. I don't know anything about it, but I imagine that the universe is so well threshed out that like there's going to be a decent story. There's going to be a lot of like art, like lots of creatures, like lots of just like diversity. And it looks like the people making it are really passionate. So this is definitely my kind of game. So yeah, I know it's coming out on PS5 as well. So maybe that's another reason why I'm really excited for it. But yeah, like I just remember the very first trailer I saw, like there's this big tree in that trailer that looked gorgeous. I was like, Visions of Mana? I was like, oh, like.
Very cool.
You know, one thing that like, how many, I guess, other than Annapurna, we don't really get a lot of these developer deep dives unless like the developers go out of their own way to make it, right? So I thought it was super cool that like we have this format now, like from Microsoft, and I want to see like the other two do it too, especially like with these Japanese studios. Like that was really surprising. How many developer deep dives have we gotten from like a Japanese studio?
Capcom did it for Resident Evil.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Capcom likes to mess with us in a good way. Capcom?
Just them.
I'm sure there's more out there, but like to put it at the forefront like this, where like, everybody's going to be watching. I thought it was super cool. I just want to see more of this because I feel like it actually shows off the games in a better way rather than just getting like a trailer and you're like, okay, what did I just watch? You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit more to digest, but I thought it was super cool. I just like want to see more of this,
Yeah. It helps us realize like, oh, like the developers really care about this. Like, because you can like, like read their faces and kind of just like, oh, are you excited to talk about this? Or are you just like reading a script? So yeah, it's nice to see.
So overall, I thought it was a great Xbox Direct. I'm really looking forward to some Xbox games, which hasn't happened for a while. Yeah, so good job, Xbox. Moving on, there's a new device coming out for the Switch that is a little worrisome. So it's called the MIG Switch or MIG Switch, which is basically a card that you can download your games onto. This is not like the first time this kind of thing has happened. I know for the DS and the 3DS, they had like game cartridges that you could put SD cards in and like just download as many DS games or whatever onto it. Which, yeah, it's a cool idea, but for the Switch, there hasn't been anything like that because they added like extra security measures. Most importantly, like when you put your game in, each cartridge has its own like serial number so that it knows like, okay, this is your unique serial number, and then that lets it work. So you can't really download things onto an SD card because then they won't have a dedicated serial number. Basically, this thing copies from your personal game. Like you put your game in, it copies your game, copies your serial number, and then you can load a bunch onto one card. So yeah, $65. Pre-orders are up now, but I mean, is this bad? Like, I don't know. This seems kind of dirty. I don't know how I feel about it. And the biggest problem right now is because each cartridge has its individual serial number. A lot of people could be loading their games onto their carts and then selling their games. And then if someone buys that game and tries to use it at the same time, Nintendo can detect both people playing it, and then it will like block that serial number. So there's some issues. So you'd have to play on offline. I don't know. It's dirty. It's gross, but I want to know what you guys think about it.
You want me to go? Okay.
Go for it.
I mean, I haven't really done a lot of research into it, but you bring up a good point there, like because that is a thing. You can't play on multiple Switches if if it's associated with that serial number for that particular cartridge. So that kind of stinks. I'm thinking about it in terms of just like I'm like the innocent like kid. I'm like, oh, I could put all my games on one cartridge,
You could do that, and that would
That's
technically
a great application.
Yeah, it wouldn't really be illegal that way because it's like you own them. You're just making it more convenient for yourself.
Because honestly, that's like, with my stepdaughter, she's getting older now, so it's better. But like, when she was little and she would be, switching those carts left and right because she's getting bored playing one game, switching it to the next. I'd just like sit over there, like kind of at a distance and wince. And I'd be like, just choose one game because I don't want you breaking that cartridge. So I think for like the kiddo, granted, you could download the games too. So you could always just do it that way. But the fact is that you could put more games onto one single cart and not have to worry about being online. Or I guess, I don't know. You just don't have to worry about like the Switch storage getting eaten up, I guess, in a different way. Take it on the go. Or like you could take your games over to your buddies and not have to take a bunch of cartridges,
You could travel with that, right?
Yeah.
So if you lose it, then you're not really losing, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's great for an application of like, just like backing up your games on another thing. And then, say you take all your games, like, all right, these are the precious's, right? I'm gonna put these all here and then they're all here. Like, that's clean. Like, I'm totally into that.
What about for like the dirty boys though that are just gonna like download ROMs or rent games, or not rent, you can't really do it anymore, but buy games, copy the serial number, return them, or something like that.
It's really bad for Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's terrible for them. And
Absolutely.
Their wallets are
terrible for
aching
us?
already.
Yeah. Is it terrible for us? Like, it depends. If that scenario happens, right? Like, so they return the game used, right? But then, like, both people are playing online, and then Nintendo finds it and they flag it and they deactivate that serial number. Now they both just lost. So the idea is if Nintendo does like enforce that and they say that, and it's going to be hard for people to it's going to make it hard for people to sell their games, their used games, because people are going to like now have trust issues. Because if you're lying to me and you have a backup and then you decide to use it the same time I do, now we both lose. Like, then what, right? Like, except for the fact that you got my money.
I guess if you use it, don't go online. I don't know. But then that's
Dang
how
those
you can
dirty
already
boys.
hack a Switch now and fill it full of games, and you just can't use it online. That's like the only caveat. That's why this is improving upon that, supposedly, because you can go online.
Yeah.
Just don't be a dirty boy.
Yeah, don't be dirty.
Yeah, I think you're dirtying the water is actually not just for Nintendo, but for like people that like to buy used games and sell them. Like, you're dirtying the water like by doing that. So yeah, because I guess we need to find out how Nintendo deals with this scenario.
I'm sure they're gonna try really hard to find out who made it and put them in jail. I don't know.
Oh man, like, 'cause I don't think they can do that. Like, they're kind of like, I think no matter what, because as technology increases, people are gonna find ways to skirt around. So the Switch 2, that's their solution, right?
Oh, that's a good point.
That's their solution.
I mean, ultimately it's like how, the modding community, or even like I don't even know what the word is right now. I'm like blanking, but basically people who like rip games and put them on their PCs and stuff. And they do the same thing with the Steam Decks. Emulators, right? You can get like a bunch of game emulators. Like, this community exists. It's going to be out there no matter what. This is probably not going to be a mass market product. But it definitely, it creates a dangerous landscape like y'all are talking about. So I guess be careful when you buy used,
Yeah.
Get it new. Just
Maybe
pay that.
that's actually good for Nintendo because now they're going to sell a bunch of new copies. Huh.
Oh,
Luckily,
nice.
used copies
Nice
are like the
spin.
same price also.
You're freaking get your bottom lip out of your face.
Yeah, don't go saving your $5 at GameStop. Just spend the $5 and get the new copy.
Nintendo is
That's what
definitely
Nintendo's
happy
saying.
about that. They're like, sweet, put it out there, give it.
Yeah, we're down.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, very interesting. Next up, I tried a game today. It sounds like, Sean, you play it too. This is a big game people are talking about right now called Palworld. There was a lot of hype leading up to it because basically all the characters look like knockoff Pokemon, and not like barely knockoff, but like pretty a lot knockoff. And me and Sean booted up, and just for reference, it just dropped on Steam this week, and within 5 days they sold 7 million copies. So people are pretty jazzed about it.
That is
Vincent.
and okay. And just to put it in perspective, me and Matt, we both played on Game Pass. I did PC, you did the Series X. That's not including people playing there.
Yeah,
So,
that's
like,
just Steam.
So like, okay, let's just say that I'm going to do like some stats, like some probabilities. There's about 25 million people, via Game Pass, right? That was the last figure I think we got. So even if like a fifth of those people are playing, right? That's what, 5 million? Or no, wait, that would be a quarter. Let's just say a quarter. We'll just keep it simple. So 5 million people, 12 million people are playing this game right now. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
In a weekend. That's crazy.
Insane. Oh, so I mean, you guys played it. So, I mean, is it like all of the hype? Like, is it really like as good as it's being hyped up to be, or is it like just mediocre at a bunch of things?
Sean, you can go.
Dude, this game's legit. This like, granted, okay, I've got about 5 hours in it right now. Me and the wife, we booted up. We're playing in our own little world, but it's got all the sauce. Like, this is a game preview, so this isn't like the final game. This is just like, a game coming before the game. So there's still some bugs to work out. I think the only bugs that I really experienced was like anytime I'd get into a combat scenario where I'd send out my pal to attack other said pal, and there would be like, a moment where it would do a charge attack, and then the other character would just like fly like oddly, but then it would end up like, on the ground. So, there's a little bit of jank there. I think one pal that I was attacking fell into the water, couldn't get out. It's like, okay, it's a game, but ultimately, like, I kind of expect that from this really tiny developer.
Can you give us like
Otherwise,
also more of like a setup, like what's
Oh,
all
yeah.
going on?
Absolutely. I just, he asked about
Yeah.
whether or not it's janky, and then yeah, going into the systems. So, I guess the way I think of it is like, this is a Breath of the Wild sort of meets Stardew Valley meets maybe like Pokemon, right?
Yeah, that's the main offender, right?
Yeah, the obvious one. So I mean, yeah, you have a base, you've got resources, you're leveling up your base, you can grab a bunch of pals and take them and have them work in your community that you build. You can bring pals with you to fight alongside you. And you can, I think right now I have up to 5. I don't know if that number increases, but I can bring 5 with me. You can ride your pals, which is pretty great.
That's super cool.
And then like, you can go out and catch more pals and battle pals, but like, you have like the whole collection of resources aspect, which is like a hook in itself, and it's pretty fully fledged out. And there's a lot of stuff I still want to get, like, so I've got the paraglider right now, and I've got bows and arrows, so it's pretty basic at this point. I've got me and, Sam, we built our own houses, and then we built a house for the pals and put little beds in there. So all of our little pals can hang out in there. We can go pet them, dance with them, and do a bunch of stuff like that. And then, we've got pals that can work for us. And
That's the part that I love.
and then you can go and beat the crap out of them, which is
Out of your own pals or other ones?
yeah, you can do that too if you want. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
this is
lot of
kind of where
stuff.
the controversy came from. A lot of people were like really upset because like you have to like beat the crap out of them and then catch them, kind of.
I don't know. 7 billion people thought otherwise.
That's another thing is like this game
That just makes sense though.
on like news outlets, I was only seeing like, developers are being threatened and this is a knockoff of Nintendo. Like I'm only seeing like negative things. But then when I talk to people like friends and stuff online, like or whatever, like everyone's like, this game's awesome. Like what is it? Like, so it's like, it seems like there's both sides of news on this thing. And it just kind of like depends on where you're getting your news at. Like it's great. And it's also the worst thing that's ever existed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very weird.
I think certain people that really don't like the fact that it looks like Pokemon, those are the people that are like kind of talking negatively about it. And then people that really don't care whether it looks like Pokemon or not, they're just like enjoying a game for a game. They're like, this is freaking awesome. Because what I heard about it, I have not played it, but what I've heard about it is like it's like a super easy survival game as well. So people that don't maybe like enjoy like the grind of the survival genre, they might like this because it seems very lighthearted. And then like you have that activity of capturing Pokemon, which is like, I haven't played a Pokemon game recently, but games where I collect creatures and then I can like use them to fight. That's awesome. Like that's just awesome. Doing that act alone is really cool. And yeah, I think from what I saw, like they nailed it. Like the idea to be able to automate them. I saw people like, you know, you can do factories, like you can then craft like a gun in there, like people with AKs, bazookas while they're like riding a Pokemon, like I mean a pal. That's cool. Like I don't know, that's just really cool. So it doesn't even matter if like the shooting feels super good or not. Like just the act of doing those things, if it works, that's cool.
So, you know, again, I played it on PC. It's super snappy. Like I that was another thing like I really enjoyed was I felt like the gameplay was solid. It was definitely, it felt good. You know, free climbing anywhere like you want. I mean, it's definitely no Breath of the Wild. Like that's not the heavy emphasis and stress of it. It's just it's there, and it can factor in on how you travel around. And so ultimately, like you want to build yourself up to get those different pals to then be able to freely roam this land in an easier way. But yeah, I did have a moment where I actually like ran out of stamina and died in the water. And we're playing survival mode. It was too far for me to swim to land to be able to get out so that Sam could, you know, revive me. So I lost all my stuff and I had to kind of rebuild from there.
Oh no.
Man.
But it wasn't too bad. Like you get the system figured out pretty quick, and then you know how to, you know, collect your resources, because we pretty much have just been like building the base. We haven't even gone out and like because there's clearly objectives, like you got to fight big Pokemon, or sorry, pals, and you know, go and do the thing. But we haven't even done that yet. We've basically just been building up the base at this point and then doing some of the tutorial objectives that they place on us. But yeah, I mean, it's really pretty. I don't know what it looks like on the Series X yet, but that's another thing about this. Like those pals, the ones that are bigger, like in a Pokemon game, you know, you get like a Snorlax and you're like, this guy should be big. And he kind of just looks like whatever, you know, he looks like a little cat version of himself, because, you know, the developers just didn't put that into account. I don't know what they're thinking, but like these guys are big, you know, like if there's an elephant pal, he's a big guy. Like you go up and you're like,
there's scale.
they're scaled. And then like I like the design of these guys better too. I don't know what you think, Matt, but like I just kind of feel like lately a lot of the Pokemon look like clowns. Like there's a keychain Pokemon out there. What's going on? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, to be fair, I mean, pretty much every pal I found, there is a 1-to-1 with another Pokemon, and it's just like a reskin. Like I saw like in the trailer, there's like straight up Lucario, but it's like Egyptian themed Lucario. And I was like it looks like you get like a skin for that in a Pokemon game. And then like, you know, the sheep is like literally there is a sheep Pokemon that looks almost identical. And then that stupid elephant, there's an elephant Pokemon that actually killed me when I was playing. I was like level 6, and then I was like, you know what? I got like a bunch of arrows, you know, I got my little sheep with me. Let's go try to kill this freaking elephant. And he was just like, yeah, and just like killed me in one hit. And I had forgotten I was playing survival also. So, but luckily my stuff was just like on the ground and I was able to find it, because I played about 2 hours, but I did the same thing: base, making weapons, collecting the pals in my general area, putting torches around my house, and buying clothes. Yes. Just like I was enjoying the survival stuff. It actually really scratches that itch from like Subnautica. I really love Subnautica, and I haven't played a survival game since, and that was like 4 years ago. So I was like, oh, I gotta cook some berries. You know, I was like all into it. I think the most like, cause yeah, it's very apparent this is like early access. And the most egregious thing to me was just kind of like the UI, just like all the meters and stuff look really like plain, and like they're just like doing their job, which I don't care about at all. And like, you know, some of like the item thumbnails are like pixely JPEGs, you know, like your bow and arrow. I'm like, I get it. It's a bow and arrow. I don't really care. The only thing that I did that like didn't work too well was like building my base. I could not get some of the pieces to snap to the right spot. That was really
Okay, thank
annoying.
you. That was definitely an issue, and I kind of figured it out. But like, you know how you have like the wall pieces
Yeah.
and the base piece, and that was generally easy to get like to where I needed to go. But then you had like the triangle pieces.
Yes,
and you're
those
like, I'm
ones
gonna put the
never wanted to
triangle-
do it.
So the triangle pieces I was fine with. The roof. Let's
Yeah.
not talk about the roof. That was the hardest.
I
part.
still
It's
have a
hard to
hole in
build.
my roof.
I found out, and I don't know how much harder it is on like, you know, with the twin sticks, but like I had to point my cursor onto the triangular piece kind of towards the top, and that seemed to work. So just try kind of like thinking about the piece that it's going to attach to and trying to look where that's at. But otherwise, they do need to fix that because, like, yeah, I had a hole in the roof of my first house, and I'm like, well, that's not gonna work. On that note, another thing. So like another trip I have with it is like, and I don't know if maybe you figured out different, but if you want to destroy like a piece of your house, it doesn't work that way. Like
You can.
Okay, you can.
So you open the build menu, and then there's a small little thing that says like break mode or disassemble mode. Because I was doing the same thing. I was hitting everything with my hammer or whatever, and then like and then you wouldn't get the resources back. So I was like getting all bummed about it.
Waste.
And it would break like a bunch of pieces and be like, oh, well, this corner's gone. I guess I'm rebuilding that.
Yeah.
Need more wood to do it now. Because you recover some resources, but not all of them that go into making it. So you're like, well, this is.
Oh, so you I mean, I was straight up like just hitting my walls with an axe until I realized there was like a disassemble mode.
See, and I didn't see the disassemble mode.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I need to look at that. But other thing, throwing the balls to catch things.
It's really hard to hit them.
Called, by the way,
Pow balls.
They're pow balls.
Called
So like, I don't know how it is on the console, but on the PC, you hold down Q and then your character queues up and he's about ready to throw it, right? And what I do like is that it'll give you a chance meter on how likely your chance is to catch the thing, which is really dope. And then once you throw it at them, you can run around and do whatever you want, and it has this meter that's like, hey, you might get this or you might not get this, and depending on how far you weaken them or how many times you throw so many balls, it's going to make it easier and make that meter go up. You'll get it. But like throwing the balls, like you hold down the Q button, but if you release that Q button, like it
Goodbye.
throws one.
Yeah.
And the only way to cancel it is by clicking the right click on the mouse, which sucks because you'll accidentally throw foul balls. They take a good amount of resources to make.
Mine,
So
I can
I
do
wish
like the roll button. If I'm like holding it up, I can hit like the roll button and my character will like do a backflip. So I just like do that and then backflip to like put it away. I don't know a better way to do
problem then, or
Yeah, I have to do like a roll to get it to put away without
cancel.
throwing it. Yeah.
so they need to toggle that. Like it should be a toggle mode where you hit the button and it locks you in, ready to go, and then maybe do like a left mouse click or a right trigger pull on the Series
Yeah,
X,
like
and
do
then
like
you
two
throw it.
together or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's like a confirmation, right?
Yeah, because otherwise, like I've thrown probably 5 or 6 of those things away, and I'm like, no, now I gotta go get more wood and more stone, and I don't want to do that anymore. So that's one of my other tropes with it. But otherwise, like I do like it a lot right now. I'm excited to see where it goes because like the world is big. It's really big, almost like daunting, but like it makes you feel the sense of like, well, what else is out there? You know, like, and I'm excited to get there. So
Yeah, I was a
Because there's,
little
like,
worried.
Dungeons, right? And you can go anywhere, correct?
I don't know. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
I'm kind of in a small area right now. I haven't really ventured out. But there is a fast travel like option on your screen immediately. So I think you're
Yes.
going places.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
we found one fast travel point, and then you can build a thing at like your base or just around the world as another fast travel point. Takes resources, but you can make it.
Oh, totally worth it.
I think another cool thing too, and I don't know how much you delved into this map, but like I figured out that with certain pals, they have like a really well fleshed out stat system, including like the type of pal they are. So like this pal's maybe a masochist. This pal is a workaholic.
Really?
This pal is always depressed. Yeah, it has like up and down meters.
No, I haven't
If you
seen that
look
at all. I just have
Yeah,
like
if you
5
look at
sheep.
them.
So like I don't have anything too crazy.
If you hover your cursor over the sheep or your buddies, does it pull up a separate UI or anything
For
like
me,
that?
it's like when you hover over them in game, it just like says hit a button and you get like a wheel, and the wheel's got like feed, pet, and
Okay.
some other things. But I think to go to my PAL like computer with the Pokedex thingy in it, I can see their stats, but I didn't look at like their temperament or anything.
Yeah, so I'm curious, like there might be an option where when you're hovering over them, you hit a different button and it does a thing
I
or
see. I also heard that the Xbox version is behind the versions on Steam.
That's what I
So
heard.
I think that we might be even playing a worse version of the game than is actually available.
interesting.
That's one of the things I heard. Like
I'm
PC
curious,
build
like
is definitely the best.
Then I'm like, should I
I'm
buy it on
curious,
Steam?
though.
It's like $26, I think. I don't know.
I'm curious though, because like if the PC Game Pass, because that's how I'm playing, if that is behind the Steam version as well, I have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Yeah,
I'm
that
curious
is
about that.
the question, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious of. Which kind of makes sense because, like, honestly, like with console version, there's a lot more to flesh out with controls. You have to figure out how to, like, on a controller, you're going to make the game work. But I don't know. I just thought it's super cool that, like, I was going to go into the stats of, like, all the pals. And essentially, like, if you go further into the stats of the pals, you can see, like, what type of resources they mine better. So you can place them in different spots. And it's got a lot of meat behind the sauce. Like, there's a lot of sauce in the meat. I don't know. A lot of noodles there. What analogy you want?
Yeah, it does. It really does try to do a lot of things, but it seems to do a pretty okay job with everything, which is nice. Usually, things that have a really big scope like fail at a lot of them, you know. So like, we'll see. I'm pretty interested. I was having a good time, which is pretty surprising, I think. So
Yeah.
check it out if you guys get a chance. And
Yeah, I think that it's cool that Xbox supports early access.
Yeah, that's super
because
cool.
PlayStation does not. But after they've heard about the success, PlayStation's like, can't remember the name of the person who works there. Like he's like some head, and he said like
Johnny PlayStation.
Johnny PlayStation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Johnny PlayStation is talking to William PlayStation, and Will is the guy who connects with other like developers to like put a game onto the Sony platform. So that's happening right now. So hopefully it'll end up there, but I know that the early access is for like a year or something, so the game will come out next year like polished. So I think that's when PlayStation is going to actually get it. And after what happened with Cyberpunk, we know that PlayStation only wants the most polished, I guess, gold version on their console. But yeah, I'm excited for this game. Like, I can't wait to get my hands on it. And it just seems like another time sapper. Looks like it could be quite involved.
Yeah, it actually makes me want to play Grounded. Grounded came out about a year or two ago. And it's like that kind of game. It's like survival, base building, but super polished, and we can play multiplayer together and like own a base together. And like that would be super cool. It's basically like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like we'd be like collecting leaves and water droplets and like making swords out of like spider legs. Like it just sounds like a super fun time.
So I tried this with my stepdaughter, but I wanted her to like try it and play it.
Yeah.
And at that time, I think she was like 6 or 7.
Maybe that was too complex. Huh?
Way over her head. And I'm just sitting there going, oh man, okay, moving on.
Let's get someone with a red hat back in the screen. Yahoo.
I'd be down to get in there and try it. I think the only thing that's been like thwarted me off from it is like its art style. You know, it never really jived with me. But I mean, I've heard great things, so I'm down to give it a shot. You know, look at Exo Primal. I wasn't sure about that, and now I'm maybe playing some Exo Primal.
Yeah, it's so easy to get into. Let's just get in there.
Well, we all got it. Real quick before we go, last week we were talking about IPs we wanted to bring back to life. I had mentioned Tomba and the Buzz Lightyear Toy Story game for PlayStation, and Sean never got a chance to share his. I didn't know if you wanted to share them real quick.
That's right. Yeah.
Did you either, CJ?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Okay.
It was all me,
Okay.
baby. I got the spotlight, so it's you guys can have your
Well,
turn
then,
now.
Since you didn't have a game IP, you know, because I kind of sort of had like an idea. I don't know. Maybe CJ's was definitely the best, but yeah, okay. 2 that I can name off the top of my head that I definitely really want. I want Ape Escape, bro. I want a fully fledged out Ape Escape game. I think that would be so much fun. I only got to play a little bit of the Ape Escape games when I was a kid. But I really liked the way it looked, and I heard great things. And I think it's such a cool IP that could jive with a lot of people if they polished it well enough. Like, just make it look like Astrobot, you know, or Astro's Playroom.
That's a good
They better
idea.
be making have that team make it.
100%.
Yeah, make a Ape Escape game. Come on, now, let's get out there, get the whips out. Another one that I really want to see come back, and it's just near and dear to my heart. I really enjoyed it. We just had Armored Core, which is very like involved. So I think something a little bit more arcadey along the line, but like still multiplayer-esque Mech Assault. This was a original Xbox game that actually launched with Xbox Live back in the day.
The game was fun.
It was so much fun. It was just a arena-based, mostly capture the flag, some team deathmatch, in there. It had a really good campaign. And then the caveat back then was that you could destroy parts of the environment like bridges. And so if like an enemy mech was on there, it would do damage to them and they could die potentially. But it had like, it had all the different classes of mechs, like the heavy mech, the medium mech, with like the submachine guns and rockets, and then they had like these little chicken mechs that went like tick 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 tick, and they were like super fast. So like that was your flag grabber most of the time. But I really liked those games. And then they came out with Mech Assault 2, and the way that one worked is it had you like getting like you were the pilot, this itty bitty tiny little pilot, and it looked like that on the screen. It looked like an itty bitty tiny little dot almost on the screen. You would get out as that pilot to go into different mechs, but which was kind of a cool idea, maybe in the single player, but then in multiplayer, what was awful about it was you would start out respawning as the tiny teeny little guy, right? No. The problem is like if the enemy team was kind of owning the game, they could just like crowd over the well-known spawn point, and then just walk over your little guy and you explode every time. The multiplayer matches just did not fare well in 2. And then they never revitalized the series, even though it was so popular. The original one was, at least, on, because it launched again with Xbox Live, but, still really popular. Kind of was another game that launched that service off and got it catapulted besides Halo 2. Bring it back. We've got Armored Core. I think you could do some fun, like, flashy things with it. Maybe not go as far in depth with the customization options, but it could be cool. So bring that back.
Simplify it a little bit, differentiate each class, make each one really fun to play with, and then I agree.
I want a game where you're just a mech that steps on people. That sounds fun.
Oh, God.
Mech Stomper.
You can be the people on the ground running, and one guy's the mech, and you're just freaking and you just got to try to run away and hide.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you can go play it right now. It's Mech Assault 2.
Oh, there you go. Oh man, we need a modern Mech Assault 2 just so I can step on people.
Oh man, but those are the two that hit the top of my head that maybe are, something that's been made in a while. I know like there's other ones. Like I would love to see, the Resistance series. We've talked about that so many times on the show.
Yeah.
I would love to see maybe Killzone get, revitalized. Fusion Frenzy, that party game, that would be dope.
Ooh, yeah.
Fusion Frenzy was great.
If I'm going on the Nintendo front, definitely the Earthbound series. I think that would be dope to bring that series back and just make it.
So I know nothing about Earthbound. I used to make a joke with Jono and Max, like saying, "Oh, have you guys heard of the game Earthbound?" Like random text message, like, "No, like what is it?" I'm like, "Oh, I haven't heard of it either." But then apparently it's actually a game.
Oh yeah, is it the Mother series, right? That's what.
Yeah.
So I think there's 3 games, and they actually have one of them on Nintendo Switch's online platform, and I actually haven't played them, but I've seen some gameplay footage, and I've heard the stories are just weird and crazy, and then it's basically like open world RPG, top down. I think it'd be cool to bring back something like that and just like make something wacky and zany,
People have been
Something
begging
weird.
for it for like 30 years, so good luck, but still would be very cool.
I want it. I've never even played it.
I know. Well, go play the ones we have.
So popular.
CJ, did you have
should go play
anything
the
you
ones
wanted
we
to bring back?
Sean already mentioned Killzone, so I thought that was definitely one that I've been wanting for a while. I feel like it's the perfect time for that, just as Resistance. But one that kind of just creeped into my head, it's this game called Maximo. And I think this was a PlayStation title. And you played as like this, kind of looked like maybe a Greek soldier or a Roman. And, he'd have like this armor on, and the levels were pretty expansive, like lots of enemies. You'd collect like gold and stuff. I can't remember what I was doing in this game. I was pretty young. And I just remember like every time you like got hit, you would lose pieces of your armor. And then like eventually you'd just be like in your boxers. And then, then you'd have to restart. In the combat, like I think you could like block. And like the combat was nothing like what I was used to. Like I was kind of more like Dynasty Warriors or something like that. So it was kind of like almost like Soulsian, kind of like a Dark Souls kind of combat. Like it was very slow. That was definitely not my pace. And I remember I got to the second level and like I was fighting like, these skeletons, but like this time the skeletons were on a ship. And then like there's lots of ice everywhere. I was like, and I remember literally like looking at the boat, seeing the skeletons, I was like, I'm done with this game. So the thing is, I feel like with the hardware we have now, the resources we have, a game like that could be re-envisioned, and whatever the original vision for that game was, they could really make it amazing now. I feel like there's so many games like that. So yeah, bring back Maximo, like, because there's so many people that probably don't even know what that is. So it's gonna seem like a fresh IP when it's not, And then there was another one called Jersey Devil, and like you played as like this like devil-like creature, but like it was like a cute one, right? Or cool, or you think it's like a mascot kind of character, and he had like this purple suit on, and it was like a platforming, action platformer, like not like Ratchet and Clank, but maybe more in the line of Gex, and it was like one of those first 3D platformers, and it was called Jersey Devil, and I remember the marketing for it was super cool, like those like marketing for games, like it's like, oh, this character's so cool, like it's always like. I got you this time, like that kind of like, oh, like I want to play that. That was Jersey Devil, and the demo was fun, and then that was it. Because I didn't buy games, I was too young, so I kind of like out of sight, out of mind. But yeah, bring back Jersey Devil. Like I want to see that reimagined in like today's age. Like bring me a cheeky single player platforming experience.
Very cool.
Did you guys ever play Wave Race 64?
I never played it, but I know it was very popular.
Okay.
The jet skis?
The jet ski one. That was a good. Dude, it's such a good game. Let's bring that back.
I think they tried on the GameCube and no one cared.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no one cared at all. It was 64 or nothing for Wave Race.
They just got to make it zany and crazy. Just make it nuts. Let's do wave racing in the sky, in the stars,
In the stars.
In the stars. Just like you're wave racing through cosmic pools of like the Milky Way, Let's get there.
That'd be really
Let's
cool.
Do that.
It's called Rainbow Road, right?
Do crazy stuff. It's time.
Don't put they're gonna, if they ever did it though, they'd slap Mario on it. That's fine. I'll
of
do
course.
That too. Okay, I got it. A Waluigi game that's all about wave racing, and it's just starring him, and he's just going through a bunch of zany courses through the stars.
We'll call it Wally Kart or something.
Wally Kart. Wave Stash.
Wally Kart. Cosmic Conundrum.
I mean, it's a tradition. Every few months or whatever, we try to think of a game that Waluigi would have. So there you go. That's
do like a speed round of like different Waluigi games that we can name off. That'd be great.
Very cool, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining me, and thank you listeners for listening. If you want to send us an email and tell us what you've been playing, or recommend any games, or just tell us some fun gaming stories, whatever, coopplus1@gmail.com. You can hit us up on all the social media platforms. We have them. We don't use them necessarily all the time, but you can contact us there probably. And yeah, we're trying to get more stuff on YouTube. Maybe even this episode will be on YouTube. We'll see. So check it out, and we're going to try to move episodes moving forward onto YouTube, as well as your podcast platform of choice. And if you don't mind leaving us a review on that platform of choice, it's greatly appreciated. And did I miss anything? Oh, sometimes we're on Twitch too.
Yes, I kind of want to do some Exo Primal on Twitch. Like,
Ooh, there you
tonight.
Not a bad
go.
idea.
Yeah.
Tonight. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I would like to tonight because I think I'm going to be beating it tonight. So that would be
Do
cool
it.
to put on Twitch.
Do it.
Well,
Exo Prime, baby.
sounds great. And as always, go play some games.
Go play some games.
Go play some games, preferably Waluigi titles.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Laters.